Hello, and welcome everyone. This is the Shine Beyond Cancer Show. This show is designed for anyone who's been diagnosed, currently going through treatment, or is now cancer-free. We know you did not choose to be on this team. We didn't either, but we kicked cancer's ass, and we are here to provide you inspiration, hope, and the tools you desire to manage the confusion and anxiety. We deliver you a remarkably detailed game plan for you to achieve clarity, strength, and purpose, no matter where you are on this journey. We are here to quarterback you through all aspects of your life so that you too shine beyond cancer to live a vibrant, abundant life. However, we are not here to treat, diagnose, or cure any illness or disease. We are making no medical or income claims. Let's get started with the show. Here are your co-hosts. From Wall Street to 9/11 first responder volunteer to wellness warrior and cancer thriver, Mark Slew. And from mom to marketer to master trainer and cancer thriver, Lisa Diamond.
Hi everybody, welcome to Shine Beyond Cancer, episode 21. I'm Lisa Diamond.
And I'm Mark Slew, and today we have the pleasure of having with us as our special guest, Carolyn Bongiorno, who is a stage 3 breast cancer survivor, a master in contribution, a master in fundraising, who now is the senior director of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of Southwest Florida. So the way we start every guest episode is, for our audience, we all remember the day that we got told what happened to us. Why don't you tell us the day you got diagnosed, what happened, and how it was told to you?
Oh, well, let's see. I was 32 years old, and I had been an infertility patient for 2 years. And at the time, my physicians could find nothing wrong with myself or my husband. They said, you might want to stop working 60, 70 hours a week. And at the time, I worked for the Orlando Magic. And so I actually resigned, and I was like, okay. I did it, and I went into my OB/GYN and said, okay, I'm ready. You know, we were going to start with the most mild infertility drug, Clomid, which is not invasive at all. It's literally just a little pill you take. And I said, I'm ready. Like, I did what you told me to do, bring it on. And that was the day the doctor felt the lump. I was just having a well woman checkup to begin the process of, really trying to have a baby. And I was like, what are you talking about? What lump? At 32, I'm
Right.
not doing self-exams, no family history, no idea. So we had that biopsied, and I just was, like, well, a lot of people have cysts, or they have this, or
Right.
fibrocystic tissue, or whatever. Literally thought nothing of it. And then I was home alone, and the phone rang, and it was actually the surgeon. And
Which is not good.
Which is not good. It was not the nurse, it was not the office assistant, it was the surgeon. And he said, are you sitting down? And I said, well, yes. And he said, he's like, it's malignant. And he's like, you need to come in immediately. And so it was sort of a twofold, those are the two sobering memory moments.
Right, of course. And so from that point, what was, because I know it's a roller coaster ride, right? It's MRIs, it's PET scans, and so you get through the roller coaster part of it, and you get your treatment plan. And what was your treatment plan? Did you do chemo, radiation? Did you do surgery first?
19 years ago, they did surgery first, and back then it was a mastectomy and node dissection. And it had spread to my nodes, and they found a third tumor when they did my mastectomy. We didn't even know, but the first thing they found was actually 2 tumors growing together. A third had started in a different location, and so I had surgery first, and then chemotherapy for 4 months, and then the lovely journey of reconstruction, and so all in total, it was a 10-month treatment process.
Okay.
And how many years are you cancer-free?
Actually, April 28th will be my 20th anniversary.
Right.
Wow, that is amazing. That right there just gives people, I have major goosebumps, gives people just a ton of hope. we had on a previous episode a doctor who was 20 years brain cancer and cancer-free, which is
10% survival rate at that point.
So congratulations. And so, you know, I know there's a lot that happened in between. Anything in that whole journey for you through treatment, reconstruction, anything that sticks out that you want to share?
Honestly, that every person's journey is different.
Yeah.
I handled surgery like a champ, and chemo took me out.
What do you mean took you out? There could be some people.
Well,
there could be
I don't want to scare anyone, because literally my experience with chemotherapy was so profoundly different than most. I would go to the chemo center and I would see people literally hooked up to the IV and go home and eat a steak. After my first treatment, I threw up to the point that I cracked my ribs and ripped my esophagus, and I was in the ER.
But she's 20 years clean since then, so there's hope.
And I'm saying, like, literally, I'm also, though, a person that I can't drink hard alcohol. I can't drink wine. I just have...
Before or during?
Always, my whole life.
Always, yeah.
I have a very sensitivity to pharmaceuticals and things like that.
Right.
Which I discovered freshman year of college. I remember I had a terrible cold. I had a terrible cold. And I remember at the time a friend...
That's not what happened to me during freshman year of college.
But I had a cold, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, here, take this." And it was like an Actifed or some kind of decongestant. And I took it and I slept for 14 hours.
Wow.
And that's when I knew, like, I think things hit me harder than most people, and literally, like, so I'm just very sensitive.
So you just struggled through that whole 4 months.
Right, but surgery, I was fine.
So we're a lot about mindset and keeping your mind in the right place. How did you go, especially going through... especially going through a tough round of chemo, how did you keep yourself going?
It was very hard. It was very depressing, because surgery takes a lot out of you, and then for me they start poisoning you, and then with every treatment you feel worse and worse. And I do remember after I would be put into the hospital for 2 days on IVs, antibiotics, or not IV, nausea meds, and kept their hydration and so forth, because I still got sick even in the hospital, even with all that.
Wow.
Then they brought me home on IVs for 5 days, and I remember literally sitting in my family room with a bucket, and I was, because I would throw up all the time, and I had the IV bag just laying on the couch, and I don't know about you guys, but I had a lot of conversations.
That was good.
Oh, well, I had a lot of conversations with God at that point in my life, and I.
It's another aspect.
Okay, so
and
let's just talk about that for a second, because I just had this conversation, and I only had one conversation with God, and it was a deal, and He made the deal, and I'm paying it forward. That was my deal. So were your conversations, like April always says, the foxhole prayer, or were they, why me? Or
actually, the prayer, 2 prayers I said to myself. I said one, the Alcoholics Anonymous prayer, which
God grant me the serenity.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
I've never been an alcoholic, but that prayer literally speaks. In any moment of hardness that I have in my life, I always lean on that one. And then the other one, I think maybe it was a poem more than a prayer, but it's called "The Bend in the Road." And I wish I could remember the name of the author.
That's okay. We will look that up, and we'll put both the poem
bottom,
and we'll put the Serenity Prayer in the show notes for everybody.
Yeah, but the most the absolute the conversation with God I do remember having in that moment was when I was literally lit IV bag over here to my left and bucket to my right, and I'm bald, and I'm, if you can imagine me, 35 pounds lighter. I remember sitting there saying, I am going through this for a reason. Like, this is happening for some reason. I have no idea what it is. And I just remember saying, God, show me. Like, just show me. Like, my eyes are open, my heart's open. I am receptive to, like, whatever you are meant for me to learn from this. I'm here.
Okay,
like,
so
please reveal it to me.
We know your story,
Yeah.
so tell everybody what that was, like what the deal you made and why you went through it is a great story for you to tell going forward, because you're in contribution since then, basically.
Yeah. Well, so I had that at my lowest moment. I had that conversation with God saying, you would not have me suffer for nothing. So I'm meant to gain some, I'm meant to come off of this for some reason. Like this is an experience in my life for a reason. So show me what it is. And literally it was a few days later, I went back to the Orlando Magic's building that they have in Maitland, Florida. For any of you that have ever been to the RDV Sportsplex.
We have.
Yes, and I was the original co-GM that opened that building in 98, 99.
You did a great job. The building's fantastic.
Well, thank the DeVos family. So I went back, and all the kids there knew me, as a competitive adult skater, as the GM, as running the building, and there I was completely bald and very weak, very frail. And I remember this one little gal, she sat with me on a bench, and I was just there to visit with my friends and watch the kids, because I was no longer working there. And I remember this little girl started talking to me about her grandmother who had cancer, and she was terrified. She was mortified, she couldn't articulate, and she didn't want to burden anyone in her family with her stress or her fear. And then I started finding other young kids, a couple others, and then that were in the same situation. It was their teacher, their aunt, and I started doing a lot of reading, and I actually came to learn that a family goes through emotionally exactly what the patient does and more. And yet, as you know, when you are the patient, you go into survival mode, and you actually, as horrible as treatment is, and as rough as it is, the patient oddly at least has the psychological advantage of putting up the good fight, and family is sitting powerless on the sidelines, feeling helpless. And when I saw in these children that they couldn't articulate, and they were terrified and didn't want to burden, but they spoke to me because they knew me
You went through it, yeah.
Well, I was a younger person. I was younger than their family member, and I was detached from them.
Right.
And that I said to myself in that moment, I want to do something that empowers children to cope when someone in their life is battling this. So I took that for a number of years. I got through my experience. I moved back home to Ohio. Took a job with Ohio State to learn fundraising, which I did, and then I took my experience and that knowledge, and I founded my own charity, which was a children's charity that taught health education to them and gave them the opportunity to honor people in their lives touched by cancer. And in the process, it raised over $580,000 for cancer research.
It's amazing.
That's awesome. And you have a beautiful daughter.
Yes.
Let's finish the fertility story, because everybody's going, did she get a baby or not?
Yes. After my oncologist, and I hope I hope all of your viewers out there have had the wonderful experience of having great physicians. I loved my surgeons, fantastic. My oncologist was a very, very matter-of-fact person, and he sat me down when I was diagnosed, and he said, you have a 40% chance to survive. And he said, and once we do everything there is to do to you, if it's going to come back and kill you, it will do so within 2 years.
Wow.
Bedside manner.
It was charming, and so I was basically a hot mess psychologically for 2 years after my treatment ended.
Right. Waiting.
Because it was in your brain, obviously.
Yeah. And yes, so that's when I went into therapy, was when my treatment ended, because that's when I fell apart, because you're
And
a warrior.
that's okay. And it's okay to get that therapy.
Mm-hmm. And it's I think in my experience is I needed it more after treatment ended.
Right. I think a lot of people do, which is one of the
Why
reasons
we
why we
created
are
this.
creating this, because originally we were going to focus on just cancer-free but realize that people are going to get to that cancer-free state, so they might as well take their whole journey with us. And so I agree with you completely. It's the aftermath.
Oh yeah. When they just cut you loose after you've been poked and prodded and cut and tormented and poisoned and tortured for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
And then
Fly
it's
away,
like,
little bird.
well, yeah, and literally when they let me go, I sat there and, again, with my favorite oncologist, and I said, so what do we do now? And he's like, well, we'll see you in 6 months, for
Right.
a scan. And I'm like, and what until then? And he's like, well, if you get a cough and it doesn't go away, let me know. And I was like, so after I have lung cancer, because that's what with
Right,
breast cancer.
right.
If you have a recurrence, 80% of the time it's in your lungs.
Lung, bone, and brain.
Right, and but that's when I fell apart, because you literally you cannot escape, visit after visit after visit of all these different types of things, and then all of a sudden one day you're just set free, and you've as much as you're having
like
your
I
treatment's
say,
over, you're just hanging out there like what's happening now, and
Right, and it was like a full-time job, right? It was, and then like you got fired, and now what are you going to do with your time? And what do you and
well, yeah, and it's also you're just waiting. You're just
Yeah.
waiting to see if it comes back.
Any cough, any ache, anything is like
Did
tragic.
Did either of you get sick after treatment ended? Like, did you get just a regular old cold?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no,
She
no.
got very sick.
I was in the hospital for a month with E. coli that went to my heart and almost died. Literally a year after treatment. So yeah, I got sick.
But you're talking about like just getting a cold and like panicking and freaking that you
Completely.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
And
I'm sure everybody who's been cancer free has had a cold or had something wrong with them.
Oh yeah, I never, before cancer, I never would be like, are my glands swollen? Are my glands swollen? I didn't have anything in my throat. Yeah, I'm like, but I literally, it completely makes you paranoid. And
So tell us what you're up to now, because you're doing great things down here in Southwest Florida.
okay, well, after I got through my experience and wanted to help kids, I started a charity that did health ed and empowerment for kids, and then never intended it to raise.
Right?
Yeah,
Skate for Hope, and you raised how much?
580,000 went directly to advanced clinical research.
Wow.
And through the Ohio State University Stephanie Spielman Fund, and then also the IU Simon Cancer Center. So that was all good things, and I loved that.
Amazing.
Yeah, and but the primary fundraiser of that charity was a figure skating show with Olympians,
Right.
and Scott Hamilton's been involved, Sarah Hughes, so endless list. Very, very blessed and fortunate to have so many amazing, kind people support it. But the time has come. Live sporting events are not drawing the audiences that they used to, thanks to our so much technology, and everyone can
Right.
find any entertainment they want within seconds, right in the palm of their hand. So,
Right.
So the model for which we did our primary fundraiser sort of. The sun had set
Yeah.
on the efficiency of that.
Right.
So I'm on to a new chapter, which I'm very honored and just so honored and happy to be a part of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society now, which last year donated $46 million to cancer research.
Wow.
Say that again?
$46 million
That's
to
a lot,
research.
That's a lot of money. I mean,
And the thing to know is research in one area. I mean, you can start doing research, and our clinicians that LLS is supporting may be looking. It may initiate as research for leukemia and lymphoma, but it doesn't work, and that research is more applicable to pancreatic or colon or breast. So. Research in any form. I mean, clinicians share their data; they support
Right.
one another. So it's
so it doesn't matter who you give money to, it's all going to the right cause of finding
and
cancer cures of any type of cancer, basically.
Yeah, if you're donating to cancer research, to any major institution or any major organization, clinicians share their data and they collaborate and they help one another. So you're not. It's
Great.
not just this pigeonholed. I'm only helping people with
Right,
leukemia.
right.
Well, because you had breast cancer and now you're in the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society, so you're mixing it up too.
Right, and the research dollars that LLS is donating to today, are more than likely going to be helping advance research in other forms of cancer as well.
Awesome. That's so great. So whenever we have a guest on the show, we always like to ask that guest, something that you experienced that you feel like would be a great tip or a piece of advice or just like a nugget for anybody that might be watching this.
Well, if you have extreme nausea, I found the one and only thing I could eat was watermelon. Literally the only thing that would not make me sick and kept me hydrated.
Because of the glutathion, but
Okay.
that's another show.
But no, I would say, and just coming from my own personal experience, is it's just to be prepared and to be okay with what I think is the natural fear that comes when treatment ends. When you feel like I'm now just waiting, I'm in that wait and see pattern if it's coming back, which to me was the most psychologically tormenting time of my life, which is why we had to wait 2 years to even try and have our daughter, which we ended up eventually being blessed to have one. And but I would say be kind to yourself, and literally as your treatment is coming to an end, I take the time to find the support groups, find your peers, find a good therapist, because
Find Shine Beyond Cancer.
Shine Beyond Cancer, share it.
literally, because for me, and this was 19 years ago, I was
There was nothing.
there really wasn't.
I know.
And I literally just be prepared that it might hit you in a wave of like, oh my gosh, I'm on my own now, and what do I do next? And that was the most terrifying. That was scarier for me than chemo. It was just walking out of it, being alone. And I would say, just if you can't do it, find people who can, but build yourself an army of support and love, because that year after you end treatment it's tough psychologically on you. But if you're surrounded with positivity and you're being good to yourself and you're taking care of yourself, that scary time in your life, it will pass so much more quickly and so much more without the pain and anxiety I went through. So that would be my greatest tip, is know that could happen, and just take care of yourself. And
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We really appreciate it.
So Carolyn is probably going to be back on a future episode. We can't give anything away just yet, but somebody is going to be involved in the Leukemia Lymphoma Society.
Yes.
But we can't release those details yet. So
It's in our
hopefully
secret group right now.
when we make that big announcement, hopefully you'll come back and talk about what that is for us and share that with our
Thanks
audience
for
as
being
well.
here. We really appreciate
That'd
it.
Thank
be
you
an
so
honor.
much, and
Thank
thanks
you,
for
guys.
sharing your story, because I know there are people out there that have gone through what you went through, and just your contribution and paying that all forward. So thank you.
thank you guys so much.
All right, guys, that's the end of this one, and I almost cried.
What about how you ended?
Yeah, we're ready. So we end every episode with the Keep Shining.
We didn't
So-
tell you that yet, though.
That's okay. So until next episode,
Keep shining.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Shine Beyond Cancer Show, the #1 cancer survival guide show for people wanting to kick cancer's ass and take their life to the next level. Be sure to visit our Facebook group, Shine Beyond Cancer, or head over to shinebeyondcancer.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic bonus content. Until next time, keep shining.